What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Tech Backstage. My name is Eddie, here with my co-host Tulio and our guest for today, Oleg from OpenBOM. I was going to say OpenBOM after our conversation earlier.
Well, it's a good thing we're not on an airplane because we have trouble saying that word, right?
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah. Nice to meet you too, and thanks for taking the time to be on the show. I guess just really quick, OpenBOM. Where'd you come up with the name for that?
Well, trying to create something that speaks to the manufacturing and the engineers, and bill of materials is the lifeblood of anything that happens in the engineering, and then that's how BOM was created. And the vision of the company was to connect companies and to connect customers and connect manufacturing together. And we wanted to make it open. So, to connect companies together. So that's where our word open came.
Very cool. And let's kind of jump into it. And I'd love to hear a little bit about your story and, how you came to be at OpenBOM. And I think you were saying earlier you have 20 plus years in the industry. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been around in this industry that called product lifecycle management for quite some years, fortunate to work for some very large companies with the very big manufacturing companies, industrial corporations, car manufacturers, aircraft companies. So that was lot of customers. So that was very, very inspiring and a lot of experience. And then I got to another company that I co-founded, which was acquired by software vendor Autodesk. And I think it's all brought me to the point that I said a combination of pain and experience created OpenBOM. So that's what started OpenBOM.
Cool, good stuff. Go ahead. Sorry, Tully. Go ahead.
I have to dig into this. You said pain and experience. Can you elaborate? What was the pain?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. Engineering and manufacturing is a very complex. It's a very, 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 very complex field. And it's an intersection of people and technologies always, because you cannot manufacture something by yourself. So you need a lot of teams, a lot of organizations working together. So that always brings challenges. And then there are technologies. And in this industry, you cannot do something like separately. You cannot invent technology and just let it go, because technology by itself will not make it. Because when the idea is how to streamline the process, how to simplify access to information, how to make people to work together efficiently, it's always between people and technology. And like I've heard it many years ago, I don't remember who said it, but they said technologies are easy, people are hard. So, try to manage it all together. It's a lot of challenges, and the pain in the industry, it's always how to make it work between technology and people. So that was a lot of pain. You come to $1 billion organization and you figure out that they have technology that they bought, but by the way, they have tons of Excels, and they use Excels because engineers saying this technology don't work anyway. So you see examples of pain. So that's a lot of pain, and I've seen many of these companies. I've worked with many of them. So that's certainly brings experience, brings you to the point that you say, let's try to change it.
Yeah. And I think this is a huge thing right now. It's not just, obviously manufacturing, it's spread out across, I guess almost every industry on earth, right? It's every industry has some sort of manufacturing, unless you're in a services company, then maybe you don't have so much manufacturing. But I mean, for the most part, this is something that, permeates the day-to-day life of just about every person on the planet, right? And with with the pandemic and everything that's been happening, I think all of this stuff is forefront. Like these are things that I'd never even heard of before, like product life cycle management. Like I didn't even know that was a thing until recently. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about just like how have things changed for you guys since the pandemic, and how are you at OpenBOM solving those challenges right now?
Sure. So we started before pandemic, and the fundamental idea is that, like I said, companies expected to be connected and they work together. And pandemic just make it even more stressful, because before it was a dream that everyone somehow can travel, sit together, but pandemic just forced everyone out, and everyone will the demand is to connect and work remotely was so huge. It's created a huge bump. It's actually, to us, it was a great help, because we've been pioneering and pushing cloud technologies, and then pandemic just forced everyone to be on the cloud. So that's something that obviously was a big push. The second thing that was super inspirational for myself for many years, and also for people that founded OpenBOM together with me, is data. So data is super interesting thing, because for many years industry was only thinking how to protect the data, how to manage data, and the big shift is at the moment of time that you think how to create and make intelligence from data. So how to make data work for you, because the things that you can find by combining data, by creating analytics, by connecting companies through the data, it's just mind blowing. And the industry, not manufacturing industry, but the other industries, the web consumer industry, they've been discovering a lot of things around data. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when Google was crawling everything, combining data, everyone was looking at this and saying, why do you need it? Okay, why like gathering all this information? Now they're turning it into intelligence, and then everyone get, now we got it. So, and this is the data gold mine for manufacturing companies. The amount of data that sits in manufacturing company, just mind blowing. And now let's move forward. The products are turning into services. Manufacturing companies are not selling products, they're selling services. They're not selling tires, they're selling mileage. They're not selling turbines, they're selling hours of turbines. A lot of things. So Internet of Things is coming, everything stays connected. So you bring data from machines, you bring data from your products, you bring data from your customers, you connect it to how you build this product. Just think about the amount of intelligence you can get out of this. Like, who is my worst supplier? Can you answer on this question? Come to the company. What are the top 3 vendors that impacting cost of my product? Just think about these questions and think about how to answer. You ask a question about cost of manufacturing companies, you need to bring a consilium of 20 people, because no one knows how it's actually organized. So it's a complicated thing. So if you can develop technologies that can get it through the data, that's a big moment.
So, Oleg, I want to bring us to the tagline of today's topic, right? We're talking about digital thread and manufacturing networks. And you say something about cloud washing to product data intelligence. I haven't heard the term cloud washing.
Same. You read my mind. I was like,
I consider myself pretty well connected with what's going on in the tech industry, but I haven't heard that term. So please explain to us what that means. What is that all about? And how does that tie into product data intelligence, please?
Sure, of course. So, but let me just ask you, have you heard about greenwashing?
Cloud washing.
No, cloud washing, I got it. But
greenwashing. Yeah, we've heard of brainwashing.
Not greenwashing.
Greenwashing.
Greenwashing. Yes, green.
I don't think I've heard that either.
Yeah. So again, the concept is very simple. Like this is something that happens when you take something that's not connected and just try to plug it together. Okay. So it was a lot of business around green that was not related to green. So cloud came as a technology to many industries. And manufacturing is probably the last industry that experiencing the innovation that comes from cloud technologies. But here is the thing: there are a lot of existing technologies, a lot of existing product in the system, and then the cloud is coming, and everyone wants to be cloud. Just look around; all old products say now we will be cloud. So what happens is that the marketing and money can do great things together. So everyone is now cloud, everyone is now modern. In reality, when you take an old product and move it to the cloud, it doesn't do much. So let me explain you why. Think about two companies using two existing products to manage data and collaborate. And they cannot communicate together because these two products were created 25 years ago. So databases inside of companies installed, everything closed between these two companies. And now suddenly they need to collaborate together. So, and someone very smart come and say, look, we bring the systems on the cloud and the cloud will solve the problem. Well, if you move your servers from your IT to Amazon, from both companies, it doesn't do anything different rather than just having two virtual computers. So cloud world magically will not make those systems to collaborate together. You need to have a new platform, you need to have a new technology, you need to have new stuff. But that's the marketing. This is the cloud washing. So when you say magically my product from yesterday that we developed 25 years ago will become cloud, that's the cloud washing. This is something that just blows out of nowhere and come to the point that this products will not change. This product will be converged, transformed, replaced, and this is the big and complex process because manufacturing companies invested tons of money in these technologies. And the company, after investing millions of dollars into this stuff, it's a painful process to transform it. And to make this transformation is hard because of investment, and to make this transformation hard because of the level of complexity, and to make this transformation hard is because you need to show the value. So that's a very, very complex process. So what can make a difference? It's the intelligence. Why? Because intelligence can bring something that you didn't have before. So if you combine pieces of information together, you can get an insight that you haven't had before. And then when you can show this value to manufacturing company, that will become a driver for them to change. They will not change for the sake of technology. You come to manufacturing company, ask them to change something. They will say, why? Engineers say, it works. Don't try to break it. It works. Don't change it. So you come to them with the value, you come to them with the, I will give you an idea. So we came to small, medium-sized manufacturing companies with the process that can make their bill of material management optimized. And it was very hard to talk to them at the beginning, specifically for engineers, until we started to talk to procurement people and until we started to talk to people that are responsible for purchasing. Because we said, if you don't get an accurate bar, connected and collaborated between multiple people, you will not do mistakes of buying something that you don't need in the wrong quantities. So now you're talking to people that can get a little bit intelligence and a little bit information, because they've been disconnected. They've been in silos. They had one system for procurement, one system for engineering, Excel spreadsheets flying between them, taking the wrong Excel, making the wrong decision. So you connect it all together, you get data, turn into intelligence, value. This is how you make change. This is the vision, and this is how we making changes with OpenBOM.
Okay, Oleg, so thank you for that. Now we have an understanding of cloud washing. If I could just oversimplify it, basically it's modernizing legacy platforms or application to work on the cloud. I'm curious, what role does your company play in that with companies? What are your targeted companies to help with that? Can you give us a little bit more insights into the role of your company? How do you guys facilitate this? What do you guys do?
Yeah, that's a great question, because when you come with a vision. Vision by itself will not make it work. So you need to be more tactical, right? So, and then when you come to the thinking how to change, the recipe is to go to someone who is underserved. Also, for very small company, any startup, it's very hard to work with the very large companies. So what we did, we sort of started the grassroots. So we said we make technology affordable because of the platform that we develop. We make it available to everyone because of the cloud. This platform is global. You can go to the website and make a registration. So we made it available to engineers. We made it available to contractors, to small companies. So this is how we started. So we sort of growing it bottom up. And we started the company from serving very small companies, and then it's growing up. And it's growing up not only by size, but it's also growing up by connections. Because we serve a startup that manufacturing products, and then the startup brings us to contract manufacturer. And the contract manufacturer is much bigger company. So we work with connections of people, and the people moving between companies, and they come to a different company and they buy OpenBOM because they use it before. So the proliferation, again, there is a lot of information that we share. We are passionate about education, so we share a lot of content on our website, a lot of articles. I started it from my blog 14 years ago, sharing knowledge, connecting people. This is how it starts. So it's kind of going bottom up. Now, we serve customers in the very diverse set of industries. So we go to automotive, we go to aerospace, we go to industrial machinery. What can be common between uh, industrial machinery, car, airplane, and chocolate? So we have someone who is making chocolate. The bill of materials is in every of these products, because in order to make something, you need to have the recipe. Because bill of materials, it's a core element of everything that you do. Some people call it differently, but it doesn't matter. The functional wise is the same. So diverse industries using OpenBOM, and we're helping them all, and we are growing through the network. So this is one of the advantages, that we can grow to the network, because people not only use the platform but also sharing the data. When they start sharing the data, they are connecting with other companies. And remember many years ago when the Microsoft started Hotmail, in every email they put sent from Hotmail, so everyone discovered what is Hotmail and started to use it. So we do more or less similar things. So we're helping customers to share information. Someone is sharing the information, saying, "Hey, what is OpenBOM? Try it."
Cool. I wanted to. I don't want to shift gears too much, but you said something that me and Tulio both found interesting about helping companies shift over to the cloud. But then I also heard something else that I thought was really important that I wanted to touch base on, and actually I was curious about. So you were talking about using data and how we can use that to improve processes and for all of the very telling stories with data. But one of the things that I was curious about is, how do y'all handle getting that data into the system, or how do you handle collecting that so that you can actually use it to analyze, tell stories, improve processes? Because a lot of times, especially in manufacturing, they're in warehouses, and sometimes it's not so easy to collect that information. And without the information, you're not actually able to tell the story. So I was interested. Um, have you guys struggled at all with being able to collect data, or like actually being able to use it for improving processes?
Yeah, I think it's a great observation, because like, data is great. How you get this data? that's
Yeah.
that's the question. First of all, I don't think that this problem is solved even by us. I think we see importance, and the key element that we used for data acquisition was an integration with existing systems. Because when you come to manufacturing company, when you come to engineering, you are not in an empty space. You cannot come in an empty space. So you're coming into something that exists. And with my experience of working with many CAD companies and design systems, I've learned that, first of all, the ease of capturing of this information from existing systems is a key. And the second, not get people involved in this process can simplify and streamline this, because if you can do it, like if you ask engineer, okay, now prepare a data load as your system, you can stop at that very moment because no one will do anything. So now we came with the integrations into existing system, and we said there is a button that called, because engineers are looking for application that has one button, make it work. So if you can bring this button to them, you have a chance. So we bring a button to them that said one-click BOM. So you go to your design, there is a button, one-click BOM. It extracts the data, it extracts the file, send it to the system, and people see it organized in the way they want. They say, wow, that saves me a lot of time. That saves me, that someone who was sitting for the last week collecting Excels, counting parts, saved files, placing it all in zip and sending it to someone. You bring something that can do it in 1 minute just by a few clicks. That's the aha moment. They say, wow. So integration with existing systems is the key. And this is what we've been doing a lot. We integrated with all design systems, and OpenBOM can capture this information. This is what we already did. It's quite successful. I mean, this is a lot of technological work to make it happen. You need to have a platform that's capable to absorb different data coming from everyone. There are a lot of use cases, but that's what we did. I think we are not done yet, because we go into explore and find a lot of connected pieces of information. Connected pieces of information is from different distributors, from different manufacturers, because the relationships that we build at OpenBOM built on the financial basis. Every company that does something, they need to make a design and then buy parts and components. And then assemble them together, you get a product. So this second part of how to get right vendors, right contractors, like right suppliers, it's very data-driven process, but we also want to bring intelligence into this. So what is the best contractor for me to work with? What is the right supplier? Like, how do I know that I'm buying now a component that will be out of production in 6 months?
Right.
How I know that some vendors that bought this product from this contractor actually stuck. So collecting this information, it's not simple. So that's why we're just scratching the surface at this moment. But as more will be done, because the people are, again, we are very diligent in the way we are collecting this information, because we're asking people, can you share it with us? Can you upload system with data to the system? A lot of sensitivity. There is a lot of IP in the manufacturing companies, but that's why it's a long process. But the key element here is to bring value, and then companies are open to do more for you and open to collaborate more, because it's fundamentally a value trade. So you give some value, you remove pain, you bring some insight, the other side will be collaborating.
Yeah.
This is huge. It reminds me of what happened when open source came to be, right? It was a very closed garden before open source. You had the big tech companies building software. You bought it and it was what it was. And then you had all these big consulting companies that did the third-party integration, systems integration, customization, but you essentially had this framework that was locked, into place. So you didn't have a lot of flexibility. And then open source came around, and suddenly the software started eating the world. So what you're describing is really sort of the ultimate, the end of the value chain, if you will, of open source, which is what allow us to now have fully integration type of capabilities. Am I off track here? Is this sort of the value here?
You're not off track. I think you're spot on, because what happened with open source was the moment where companies stopped focusing on software and started focusing on the value that the software brings. So this is how the service companies said, software is not important. We just selling you services using this software. Okay, and you use the software. So what is the shift that I envision and starts happening is that companies are less focused on applications and more focused on data.
Yeah.
So what is more important is not like 20 years ago, okay, let's bring one big giant database, put all data there, but this is the application, and it's better be served by IBM because IBM never fails. And that's the one which is, by the way, true. So but that's the applications. So what applications to use? You remember even before what programming language to use. Like, okay, I can be successful with one programming language, not with another. And then we got to the polyglot programming. So now you can write applications from different languages. So now we're coming now to polyglot persistence with multiple databases, because database is just a tool. But what is important is the data.
Yeah.
So I can use multiple applications, but what is important is what is in the middle. It's what's data that I have, because the data that drives the business decisions. And if you can do it with the data, data is becoming more important than applications. Data, by the way, from the life cycle standpoint, data lives much longer. The application will be replaced. How many applications you replaced on your iPhone for the last 10 years? But your address book is still there, right? So
Yep.
think about manufacturing companies doing business, the machines that in service for 50 years. So the data about these machines is so it's moving from applications, from apps to data. Data is in the middle. Everything else will be coming and leaving. Focusing on data will bring value. That's why I think you're spot on. It's just a moving focus, shifting focus from something that was important one day, but now it's less.
Yeah. What I think too is like as you look at the future of tech and where it's going, right? You used to think about like the way that people used to build software was these giant monolithic repos of code that just it like and like you said, Oleg, it just had everything in it, and they're like, oh, it has to be this big huge ERP, and we're not going to integrate with anything outside of this, and it's a closed ecosystem was the way that they used to build it, right? And a lot of what I'm seeing nowadays, and I 100% agree with you on data is that is the truth, that is the light, that's the way, right? In technology, because data can tell the story, right? But you don't have to have it all in one place. What you need to be able to do is you need to be able to actually gather that data from all of the different sources, right? And so one of the things that I'm seeing nowadays, as somebody who's been around for a bit, is that we're seeing these decoupled backends right now, right? Where instead of trying to build this one giant monolithic application, we're going, oh, you know what? Well, we need data from over here, and we need data from over here, and all of the data is a mess. It's unformatted. Some of it's in spreadsheets, some of it's in docs, some of it's in PDFs. Some of it is people writing, handmade reports. And how do you get all that stuff into a system so that you can analyze it, right? And it's about building those data pipelines. It's about scrubbing the data and taking the data and not necessarily, taking two completely different data sources that and like trying to like fit them into like a SQL schema, right? Like it's more about fitting it in and scrubbing it and cleaning it in a way that the stored data can actually be used later on in a purposeful way, right, to serve a specific objective. And so that's one of the things that I'm excited about. I love that you're talking about it with cloud too, because I'm such a huge I'm a serverless nerd. Like everything that I do is serverless and Lambda functions. And I don't think anybody's ever seen me actually build like a running node service. Like it's all Lambdas. And anyways, I could talk about it all day and like building ETLs and data pipelines. I love it. But I think you're spot on. I think that's the future of technology, right? Is actually decoupling backends, bringing stuff in from different places and being able to actually use it in a centralized location. Like you said, not building or changing applications, right? It's actually integrating all that together.
Yes, I would like to build on top of two things that you just mentioned, because I think it's a key. So the one thing that you said very important is how to collect all the things, information, connect them together. So just put on top of this that now when you build manufacturing products, when you build the products today, you're basically collecting components from different places and different manufacturers, building them together. So this is by itself very challenging process, and the companies can help it through the data because you have distributors, you have manufacturers, you have different component providers, you have different service providers. How you can figure out who are those that you will be using? So that's something that by itself is like when you brought this example of open source, but we have directories of open source. You can find this open source. Thanks for all these tools, but you need to have similar things for manufacturing, right? So those are systems that I'm talking about, how to connect them together. I need the electrical motor. How I decide which one I need? Oh, I want to have a tool help from the tool telling me this is the wrong motor because 70% of people that use it had a problem with it last
Yeah.
3 years. Get this information.
Hmm.
But there is a second observation, and there is a second thing that I want to build on what you said. It's about data technologies. This is something that's completely different. Like 20 years ago, you've been selling database from Oracle or database from IBM and build on top of them. And why did you do it? Because fundamentally, your goal was to sell it, your application. Like I developed application, you need to sell it. You need to sell it to IT. The first question IT is asking you what database it runs. And if it runs on the wrong database for IT,
Yep.
they will not approve it. So they will not approve it. Everything that you did goes to trash. Okay. So now with the cloud, applications is different. It's a different technology. It's something that you can optimize. So now we can use multiple databases. You mentioned one skill schema. That doesn't work in it. There are new databases. There is a graph database, for example, that we use in OpenBOM that allows to do different things, connect different pieces of information, create flexible schemas. So this is with the risk to introduce a new word that you will ask me about, the polyglot persistence. So have you heard about this? Like I feel guilty for cloud washing, but polyglot persistence. So when we develop applications using one language, then we said that we can develop an application using multiple languages. That was a polyglot programming. But now in languages, programming languages is like a tool. So I decide what is the right language for server. You said you're Lambda nerd, right? So like you go what is good for servers, and then something is good for front end. You use different languages. Now
Yeah.
think about databases. Like one size doesn't fit all. I need to have document databases, key value chain. Like you want to have graph databases, searches, and everything. It's all databases,
Yeah.
right? So now we combine all these databases together in the microservice architecture, so you get the polyglot persistence. So use multiple databases. The information is stored in the right databases like a tools, and we use it together as a service. So let's create a new type of architecture that can scale and conserve it. That's, for example, foundation of OpenBOM. Multiple databases, microservices, runs on Amazon or Azure, and then can scale globally. So the old application 20, 25 years ago will not make it. They will be replaced.
Right.
So this is something that today is starting the process. And we will see more and more in the next 5, 10 years.
Very
Very
interesting.
cool.
We could watch you guys geek out for the next hour.
I feel sorry. Yeah. So
Yeah, I feel like we could probably. I think we're just scratching the surface right now.
Keep going. You know, like we're over time. We're on time. We're done.
I guess.
Today, but we appreciate having you. You know, I just want to say, as I'm listening, I am going to make a prediction. Maybe it'll be in 20 years, maybe sooner, that these kinds of technology will change even the way companies do business. Because this kind of technology demands collaboration and more openness. And so the idea that started with these big monolithic environments that would close gardens, where now everything is more open source, with this kind of environment that creates better integration, it will force companies to change what it means to do business. I think there'll be a lot more collaboration, maybe even more co-opetition. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. It's been great to have you with us. Just stay with us as we go off the air. Everyone, please have a great weekend. It's a nice long weekend, and we will be back Tuesday at 11:15 p.m. a.m. Pacific, 1:15 p.m. Central. See you back then. Stay safe and have a great time.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye bye.